What's wrong, Michael?
I don't know if I should tell you this, but I don't know who may be listening. There may be a group of people that want to get rid of me. They don't want me here anymore.
I don't understand it. What do you mean? Talk to me.
I can't talk about it over the phone. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just feel in my soul, only God knows, they could shoot me, they could stab me, they could frame me and say I overdosed on drugs. They can do a lot of things.
Who could do this?
It's not the government. It's more than the government. But I don't know today. I don't care. I can't do it. I don't even care my life anymore. I just want my children to be okay. My only choice.
So that's the audio that we have from Michael Jackson, allegedly, where it's allegedly Michael Jackson. And he says, I don't care. They could kill me. They could shoot me. They could stab me. They might say I overdosed on drugs, which is exactly how it was said that Michael Jackson passed away. This is the photo of Mike and Epstein, right? I want you guys to tell me what you noticed that I noticed when I really looked at this photo and when I saw something else. Look at Mike specifically, okay? What do you notice between that photo and this photo? What similarity do you notice? He's wearing the what? Same outfit. When you look at the outfit, look what Mike is holding. A poster board with X's over the mouth of him, Mariah Carey, and George Michael, insinuating that they've been silenced. And it says, "Who's next?" above Michael Jackson's face. And it says, "Sony sucks." Sony sucks. Why Mariah Carey and George Michael? I didn't look into the George Michael, but I know off the top of my head, Mariah Carey was formerly married and condemned the CEO at the time of Sony when she divorced him. So if you look at this picture and you look at this picture, Mike wearing the same outfit. Could it be a coincidence? Could Michael Jackson just be wearing the same outfit twice with all the billions and billions of dollars in fashion, the fashion icon that he is? Possibly. Is it possible that this happened the same day? Possibly. There was another time that Mike was campaigning against Sony where he had a poster saying Sony kills music around the same time because it was promoting Invincible. So he kept having these poster boards of him promoting this narrative that Sony was killing music, right? Then he went as far to hold up a poster board for everybody to see. It says the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's Michael Jackson. And who is this man right here on these photos? That man was the former CEO of Sony, who's still currently, right now, partnered with Sony through his own independent company in the music business. His name is Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the former husband of Mariah Carey that Michael Jackson was at war with. Who do we find in the Epstein files over and over and over again? Tommy Mottola. It says that Tommy Mottola, this is his picture right here. It says Tommy Mottola was partnered with Sony, or is partnered with Sony to this day, that he was the leader of their company, the CEO, from 1988 to 2003. And afterwards, he continued to partner with them in his independent venture, even now today, Mottola Media Group. Sony was also the company that Michael Jackson owned a portion of, a subsidiary of a subsidiary of Sony, which is called Sony ATV, was the business that Michael Jackson owned. Where people say, oh, Mike owned the Beatles catalog and different things like that. He owned a portion of Sony in general. But he had this huge campaign against Tommy Mottola. If you remember in the Epstein files, Epstein talked about who they, quote unquote, they might be. And Epstein said that something called the Trilateral Commission, which is what we perceive the Illuminati to be, is what was created. And that was his words. He said, oh, they call it, it's the Trilateral Commission, but they call it the Illuminati. But listen to what Epstein said himself.
He formed something called the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is some spooky stuff. People said it was some of the people that, the Illuminati, there's some mystery about it, people that ran the world.
You see what I'm saying?
It was politicians, but David said most countries, the politicians get elected for 4 years or 8 years, separate from the royal families in England or in the Middle East. Someone's there for 4 years and then they're not there anymore. The most important people to have stability and consistency would be businessmen. So he formed this Trilateral Commission of businessmen and politicians from 3 major continents. So it was the North Americans, the Europeans, and the Asians.
Now notice what he said. We have to get businessmen and powerful people. So when I read you guys, and when I read you guys, the list of all the people that are stepping down, according to Business Insider, the report from Business Insider over the Epstein files, what do you notice about all those people? All these people are business people, lawyers, CEOs, everybody that's being held accountable, British royalty, UK royalty. These are all people that are being held accountable. You understand what I'm saying? People in media, ambassadors. These are the people that are stepping down and resigning and retiring and going through that. So when you hear Epstein talk like that, you know that's the real Illuminati that he's talking about. This ain't the conspiracy theory Illuminati. This is he talking about the real way it was created. Let's see if he had any more to say real quick.
So he said to me, would you like to be on the Trilateral Commission? Now, I was 30 years old, 32 years old. I said, great. And he said, well, you have to fill out this application so they have your bio. And I looked at the list of people, and it was Bill Clinton, former president of the United States, Paul Volcker, every great leader in America, the Asians, the Japanese, and with a very long description of their history. And they asked me to fill in what I would like to have written. And I wrote Jeffrey Epstein, comma, just a good kid, which I thought was funny. Nobody else did. So answer to quick.
This dude is an evil dude. Now, let's get back to Mike. When I see Mike in the Epstein files in that outfit, right? And then I see another photo of Mike holding this poster board in the same outfit with a poster that insinuates that these people have been silenced by Sony, that says Sony sucks, and it says who's next over the photo of Michael Jackson, like who's next to be silenced. And then we tie that to the war that Michael Jackson was at with Sony, and who was running Sony at the time, which Michael Jackson has a poster board of Tommy Mottola. And then Michael Jackson also said this about Tommy Mottola, but we combine that with Mike saying that they may kill me, but also having a whole campaign. He said this about Tommy Mottola from his own words. Listen.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.